And there we go. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello. Hello.
It is 7:01 on May 8th, and we have a quorum. Michael, I believe you are still the chair because we do not have new officers. Would you like to start tonight's meeting?
we welcome everybody. Thanks for participating tonight. I know it's been a long time since we've all met before. And I hope that everyone had a chance to read the application before us having to do with the Waverly Country Club. And we'll just take it away from that point.
I'm having trouble hearing Michael.
So am I.
Wait, maybe it's my volume.
Because I can hear Joy and Paul just fine, but I can't. I can barely hear Michael.
Huh. Well, that would probably be me, and I will see if I can't fix that. But in the meantime, I'll turn it over to Joy. Go for it.
I usually use my teaching voice, and so I apologize if it ever seems a little loud. But thank you for calling us to order, Chair Schmier. The second item on the agenda is public comment. I do not see any attendees participating tonight other than the applicants and representatives of the land use application that we are considering tonight, who have joined us as panelists. And so I don't think there's any public comment, but I would say that we should open it for public comment in case any of the panelists want to say some comments other than about the land use application we're considering tonight.
One thing I'd like to say is that back when I was in high school, many years ago, my friend, we went to St. Mary's Academy in downtown Portland, and she was a member of the Dwyer family and invited me over to swim at Waverly. So I have fond memories of those days.
Wonderful.
Great. Okay, if there's no public comment, then I guess we can go on to tonight's land use application. So you all received a staff recommendation along with several attachments. The application that was submitted was too large to email and was posted on the website. I hope you all had an opportunity to find that there. Tonight, I will be sharing some of the items from the application so that we all are on the same page. Sorry, there we go. So file Z0124-25 was submitted in a packet of several different land use applications. There was a non-conforming use alteration, there was a floodplain, there was habitat conservation area or Willamette River Greenway, and there was the one that we are considering here, which is Z0124-25, which is a modification of a historic landmark and new construction on a property that has the historic landmark overlay. The clubhouse is an amazing piece of architectural history in Clackamas County. Reading both the designation application from 1986, which is the oldest one I have ever read, as well as the National Register nomination from 2013. It was a pleasure learning a little bit about the history of golf courses and country clubs. as well as the history of this particular site. I would note that the materials indicated that the golf course, the country club clubhouse, as well as some of the trees from the original farm were all noted as historically significant for this historic landmark site. The application that we're considering tonight is for a pool house, a reorientation and building of a pool, as well as a pergola expansion. And I look forward to hearing the Historic Review Board's take on if the zoning code is met with the application that we have before us. The site is zoned R7. It is one piece of the entire historic landmark that has the low density urban residential zoning designation. The rest of the historic landmark is designated as open space. That is important in our code because the site of the development is zoned R7. We do not have additional review for open space. However, the site that we're looking at is only a small part of a larger parcel. And the large parcel, the 138 acres, was designated a historic landmark in 1986. In 1987, after a fire, there was a historic review and approval to rebuild an equipment shed. In 1998, there was a new facility that was approved at the northern location of the site as a maintenance facility, a turf maintenance facility, and it included staff offices and was in the location of the original clubhouse. However, it was not the original clubhouse that had the significance to designate it as a historic landmark. It was just a small clubhouse at the north of the property. In 2005, the pro shop was replaced. 2011, the golf course was renovated. And then in 2018, there was a dock and boat moorage that was installed. The clubhouse that exists today was built in 1913. And what stood out for me was that the 1913 clubhouse has been modified. 1932, there was a wing added onto it. 1947, the windows in the dining area were modified to be bow windows. And the designation file indicated that the west facade that looks toward the river has changed as the needs have changed for the country club. And so tonight we are looking at the west side of the country club with the addition of the expanded pergola. And the pool and the proposed pool house are also located on the west side of the clubhouse. But there is no work being proposed on the structure itself. It is the pool, the pergola additions, and then the proposed pool house that we're considering tonight. The Waverly Country Club was the earliest clubhouse in Oregon. I thought it was neat that it included activities and space for women in the early 1900s. And that was one of the things that set it apart from some other golf clubs in the fact that it was a clubhouse and it had support facilities for all, for the family as well as for the men. White House was the primary architect. White House was one of the architects in the firm that designed the 1913 clubhouse, but was the architect that also designed the 1932 addition. And the 2013 National Register nomination noted that he has built 15 significant structures that are all on the National Register, including the state capitol. So when we look at major alterations, it's important to think about what makes a historic landmark significant. And realize that that all properties change through time. In the application, the applicants provided a 1927 plan for the pool and a 1970s plan for the pool. So this is not the first time that the pool is being rebuilt. The 1970s pool was built in the same location, and was just expanded in width. And so it's interesting to see how the property goes through time. We are supposed to look and make sure that the historic character of the property is retained and preserved. There is nothing in the application materials that suggests that there are any of the fruit trees that were grafted with the cherry trees of the original farmer located in the vicinity of the clubhouse. And so what we are left to think about is the golf course and the 1913, 1930s clubhouse, and the historic materials and features that characterize the property that should be maintained. I am unclear of when the pergola was originally built. It's shown in the 1913 floor plan of the original clubhouse. But then when the bow windows were expanded in the 40s, I believe that this original idea may have been modified, or maybe it was in the 70s. I'm not sure. I hear that the Waverly Country Club has amazing detailed documents with the history of the structure and the site. And so they may be able to let us know if the original planned pergola was ever built. But there is one on the site now, and they're wanting to expand it. One of the things to think about is that we don't want to create a false sense of historical development. And yet, we want to make sure that the scale, the massing, and the design complements the existing historic structure. And we want to make sure that nothing about the craftsmanship is diminished by the modifications that are being proposed. I had a hard time looking at the pool and identifying whether the reorientation was going to protect the historic integrity of the property. And I decided that it would, because it doesn't encroach on the golf course. So by reorienting the pool to have the east-west orientation instead of the north-south orientation. It allows for more space for the pool house and removes the potential encroachment into the golf course. There is nothing in the documents for the designation that indicated that there were significant architectural features in the pool itself. Although the pool was there in the 1930s, it was remodeled in the 1970s, and I couldn't find anything about its architectural features that was significant and contributed to the historic significance of the site. The applicant provided some amazing renderings that showed the existing pergola as well as the extension, and showed the proposed pool house and the reorientation of the pool. One of the things that I thought about as well is the changes that have occurred on the site. It seemed significant that the main clubhouse and the addition from the 30s had the north-south primary orientation. But then if you look at the accessory structures, which the pool house would be an accessory structure, they are oriented to the east and the west. So when you look at the entire site, the pool and the pool house are one piece of a larger historic landmark. This is the 1927 view that shows walkways around the pool, which in a historic landmark, there are times where the walkways and the landscaping contribute significantly to the historic character of the site. And so when I was looking at what is being proposed, I was looking at the walkways and the landscaping, and I did not find anything about the proposal that would negatively impact the flow of the walking around the historic structure. Although I don't know the exact date that the pergola was built, or if it was a replacement, it is one of the items that is being thought about today by you all. Usually you guys talk a lot more than you are tonight.
Learning.
So I kind of had the slide in here in case you guys wanted to talk about the pergola. But if you don't, I'll move on. And you guys can do your discussion after the entire staff report.
Go for it.
Okay, then I'll move on. The applicant is proposing new construction, and that is the construction of the pool house. The gambrel roof is consistent with the roofing of all of both the historic structures as well as the accessory structures that have been built on the site since the historic designation. The siding appears to be consistent. I was not sure about the trellis or this overhang, and I was looking forward to hearing your thoughts as the Historic Review Board on this covering. But the architectural elements that were found to be significant that contributed to the historic landmark designation was the colonial revival style, the wood clapboard siding, the gambrel roof. For the clubhouse, the primary north-south axis, the multi-light casement windows on the ground floor that were symmetrically arranged, And then there was that note about the western facade of the clubhouse evolving to accommodate the club's growth and changes. There were some great pictures, both in the application as well as in the designating documents, that show how it's changed and retained the historic significance through time. I did want to highlight a couple of the accessory structures and the gambrel roof and the design with the windows. But because these are accessory, they're not the historically significant architecture. They're just examples of how the property has changed through time. The proposed pool house includes equipment room as well as changing areas. And they did a great job at showing both stick drawings and renderings in their application. So we would get an idea of what it would look like once it was finished. The location of the pool house is proposed between the pool and the golf course. So the walkway would be retained and the landscaping that separates the pool area from the golf course would be replaced by according to their landscape plan that they would follow with the construction of the structure. With new construction, we're supposed to look at whether the location and orientation of the new structure is consistent with the typical layout, location, orientation of similar structures on the site. I came to find that the orientation is consistent with the Golf Pro Shop, as well as being oriented close but not attached to the historic structure. The changes to the pool, while not necessarily a pond, does change some of the landscaping. They're proposing to add landscaping between the pool and the river's edge. That was similar in scale to what's there now. The scale of the commercial use, I do not believe is increasing with the proposed changes, but that is one of the criteria that you look at with new construction. Oh, there's a typo on my slide. So I considered everything and went back and forth, and I look forward to hearing your recommendation. I did end up recommending approval because the accessory structure was similar to other accessory structures that have been built on the site and did not encroach into the golf course and seemed to support the historic use of the pool. The pool orientation, I found to be not detrimental to the historic character of the site. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that as well. So with that, I'll end my presentation and answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
Just to make a statement that it appears that they did a very first-class job of design. Everything about it looks very nice. And Joy, you did a good job of explaining it and the rationale. Anyway, to me, it's an example of doing something with professionals doing it right.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard you say that, Paul. Okay.
Joy, thank you very much for all of the documentation. It helped immensely. It wasn't 100% clear in the historic registry nomination form exactly what was included, so I appreciated the staff report clarifying that, and I don't disagree with you. The one thing I would state about that topic is they do go into quite a bit of in-depth in the nomination form about the interior of the building. So my guess is there are some parts that are considered historic inside. I know we're not dealing with that tonight, but I was a little confused about that. So that one's kind of always hard to figure out when they aren't 100% clear. As for the pool,
Would you like me to clarify potentially the difference?
sure. Yes.
So in 1986, the site had the historic landmark designation placed on it. I didn't see anything about the interior details in the local landmark designation, but the national designation highlighted significant interior details.
Yes. Yes, the main stair, the entry that listed several spots. So I really appreciated your take on that, and I don't disagree with you. So as for the pool, I don't have any real issues. You clarified my one concern about the pool expansion and change as to it's not taking up any of the grafted orchards. So apparently it's not there anymore. So that's fine. So I'm good with that. The pergola, I actually agree with the architect on that one in that it should be extended. So it should always have been a main entrance into that outside area, which that area has always been meant to be kind of grandiose. So the additional pergola, as long as it matches the old pergola, which it appears to, I don't have any problems with it. The addition club, it's not the clubhouse, the pool house. I was a bit confused with it to start with because it is just a miniature version of the clubhouse. But then when you look at the whole site, as you did, Joy, and you did state, the other additions to the property have also basically been miniatures of the clubhouse too. The accessory building is, and the one thing that does differentiate them is the way they are plotted on the property with the east-west designation instead of the north-south. So I went back and forth on that as to whether is it too close to the clubhouse or will people think it's historic also because it is so close to the clubhouse. But when I took the more in-dive depth into it in looking at the other accessory buildings, I believe I understand what they're trying to do here. And, I can't argue with the historic architecture of the clubhouse. So it's a beautiful building. The things they've done to the site build on that gorgeous building. So I agree with the staff report and don't really have any issues.
I see Rick has his hand up. Rick?
Yeah, just real quick. Joy, you were talking about, I think it was the pool and its placement close to the golf course and not changing. I was just curious, I guess on the National Register, do those both weigh the same amount when you're looking at something like this, or does the golf course weigh in more than the pool or anything that's going to go in? Just curiosity. I agree with the report and everything, but I'm just kind of curious that kind of.
From my perspective, Rick, the golf course trumps the pool in this situation. Because the 1986 local designation for the property cites the historic golf course. But it actually doesn't mention the pool.
Okay.
So,
It
in
is-
my opinion, I had to really look hard at the materials in the application to say, was the pool really there in the 30s? Looks like it, but there was no indication in our records that it had historic significance.
Well, I was just thinking if it's grass, so does the grass weigh more than the building would, or they can look at it as, hey, here's a new water hazard.
Good one, Rick.
If you don't have any further questions for staff, I see that an applicant representative would like to speak, and they did provide a little presentation, and I'm happy to share that and let them provide you with an overview, and then you can continue your discussion. Does
Thanks,
that sound
Joy.
good?
That's all I wanted to raise my hand about is if this was an appropriate time, we have a very short 4-slide slideshow and we hopefully can answer any of the questions that you've already raised. So I'm Ben Schoenberger from Winterbrook Planning. Kiva Campbell is here from my office, and Josh Peterson from GBD Architects. And I believe a member of the club who I haven't met is also. Is that the Ryan Davis that all of us are?
I believe it is.
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
I'm our chief operating officer at Waverly.
Great. So that's who we are. But since Josh is the architect who is really the focus of these design choices, I will let him lead our short presentation.
Thanks, Ben. Matt Bray with GBD Architects is also on. He's Kiva.
Apparently, I'm Kiva Campbell as well.
We're all assuming different identities today.
That's right. That's right. We just wanted to provide a brief amount of additional context. Most of this imagery you've likely seen in the application. We added a couple of additional images that weren't in the application. One historic image that you're seeing on the top left, and then an image of the pro shop that was completed in 2005. Again, just to provide a little bit additional context on our thought process behind the design of the pool house and its orientation and the pool's orientation and how those come together. Matt, did you have any additional thoughts on that?
No, other than the fact that GBD Architects has been fortunate to have been designing projects with the Waverly Country Club over the past 20-year period during that evolution. And so we have designed interior renovations as well as the architectural buildings that you have seen, the accessory buildings of the turf care building and the pro shop. So we're very cognizant and respectful of the clubhouse's national registry, and we absolutely strive to respect, honor, and echo the established character, features, and materials of that historic building with any project.
Yeah, and so we just wanted to remind you of the material palette that is intended to reflect, I think on the next page, Joy, you'll see a material palette that is intended to reflect the existing material palette that's out there, with a few minor additions that help differentiate this accessory building with some vertical wood slats, some more modern concrete, and some of those types of elements. And then again, you've seen the elevations that are on the next page that utilize those materials in a similar way as the existing buildings on site. I don't know if we need to hang here too long. And then if we jump to kind of the next page, it shows a series of renderings on how that building kind of integrates into the overall site, because that's kind of how we see it, as an overall integration of the site. And we want it to look and feel like it's a part of the entire club, a part of the entire history, and a subtle evolution of that history of the storied club that is Waverly. So lots of deliberate nods to the architecture, but building off of the architecture that was created with the pro shop, with a little bit different pitch, a little, some subtle variations on that architecture to identify it as a separate element, but integrated into the overall architecture and history of the site. And then the final one is just a stepping back and taking an additional view, so you can see that context on the fifth page there. And so this project is going to help Waverly kind of continue their story history and expand on their story history to utilize this front lawn as really their primary attraction for all of their users when they're not on the golf course.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Is there any more discussion coming from the Historic Review Board? I'm hoping you can hear me now. Okay. So, yeah. Put in your hearing aids. Well, do you have any more to add, Joy? No, she doesn't. So, I see Paul Edgar with his hand up. Paul, go for it.
Are we going to enter into any, are we moving to discussion about this at this point? If
Yeah.
so, I'll just hold off until after the formal statement that we're moving to discussion.
Okay. Well, I've asked for more discussion. Maybe nobody heard me. Is there any more discussion? I don't see any hands yet.
I think that was Paul saying, if this is the discussion period, he has things to add. So,
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I just, having lived in a historic house and modified a historic house in a historic district, one of the things is that you don't detract with your modifications or new construction. And as far as I think that's the secret of what they've done. To me, I don't see it detracting whatsoever. I think it's part of the evolution of having the facilities that the members want and will use and will continue to attract the future. And I see in the pool a new walk-in area. Looks like where people can get into from the side. I thought that might open the door to more people that might not have ever before used it in the previous environment. To me, the only issue I was worried about or thinking about is the ordinary high water mark during floodplains, and which has nothing to do with nothing here. But knowing that the Willamette River can rise, and having been here when in 1964 when I saw it flooding Oregon City and a lot more, I know that it's an issue, but I've been to the country club a long time ago. It's been, it was always a thrill to see something beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, we're still in the discussion period. If there's any more discussion, speak now or forever hold your peace. I see no hands. So I think
Well-
we need, I'm personally going, can you hear me at all? I tried to raise my volume. I think Waverly did a superb job of their design and presentation and consideration of the history and the character of the site and preserving the history and character of the site. So my hat is off to them for having done that. And I think, Joy, that you did an excellent job in reviewing it and presenting the staff report. So I personally think it was well done, and I have no issues whatsoever with it. Unless there's any further discussion, I think we should just move to a motion.
I move to approve the application. Do I have the correct number? Joy, can you feed in the correct number, ZDO?
Z0124-25.
Good, thank you. I move to approve.
I'll second.
Rick has seconded the motion, so we have.
Well, there's a hand up here.
I don't see it.
Sherry has her hand,
Took it down.
took it down. Okay.
So we have a motion to approve and it's been seconded, so it's time to vote. So will those who are in favor of approval of this application, please raise your hands. Okay, and I see 1, 2, everybody, and any opposed? Rick still has his hand up. Oh, man, Rick. No opposed. So I believe the motion has carried and the Historic Review Board has approved the application by staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So applicants, you're free to jump off if you
Great.
wish. We will
Thank you very-
continue our meeting.
Thank you all for
Great.
your time. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Do we have any other business?
We do.
Okay,
We have another land use application.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure that you all were available June 12th, which is the second Thursday of June, for a regularly scheduled meeting.
okay.
So
Okay.
far, yes.
It is for a property that you saw last year on Stew Road. They're asking for an additional storage building. So I will get you those materials for you to consider, and we'll get it on the website if we have 4 people who are available or more.
What road did you say?
Stew, STUWE.
Doesn't ring any bells.
There was the hot barn and the outer shed, and the home had burned down between the land use file designation and the Board of County Commissioners adoption. And so there was a manufactured home on the site, and they added a carport
Oh,
last year. And so they have a pole barn that they are proposing to add to the site. So, I will send that out to you all, so you have the application materials. And we'll plan on June 12th. It is time to vote for officers, but we have 2 vacancies. Howard is still acting because his position has not been replaced, but Howard's position ended at the end of April, and it's my understanding that Howard submitted an application to continue. Is that correct?
Yes, that is.
And so Megan stepped down because of the move. And so we will be reviewing applications and interviewing. And so we can wait for officers until we have a new crew, or we can vote for officers tonight with the people who have been here and have participated. It is up to you.
Personally, I'd like to wait.
Okay.
Okay, I agree. That's fine.
I agree
Okay.
too.
Wow.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Then those were the 2 items.
excellent. Well, again, Joy, good job on the Waverly application. You put a lot of time and effort into it, and I think it turned out very, very well. So, and I think they did a superb job too. So thank you. And unless there's any other business tonight, y'all.
I would just like to make a comment to Joy. I was looking through the file and I'm trying to pick something that I can make comment on. and they even did all the windows right. And so they just took all the steam out of it.
I can kind of read your mind. I have a reputation to uphold. I've got to find something. Yeah, it was very good. It was very good. Well, thanks, everybody. I need to sign off, so
Thanks.
I'll bid
Hey,
you.
Joy, I have a quick question for you, not related to any of this, but just a real quick question after.
I also, the Steiner cabin tour is August 10th this year. Oh, no, that was last year, August 9th.
Steiner, this is going through Steiner cabins up the hill.
That's
Yeah.
up Mount Hood, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Do I hear
So
a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now say good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Joy, I was just
Bye.
curious if you had heard anything